Season 8 opens and you learn that Alaric has basically inherited the leadership role at the armory, and they're in a process of excavating. They've discovered a tunnel system underneath the armory that leads and tracks ultimately to Mystic Falls. The tunnels are centuries old and are filled with all kinds of mysteries that ultimately lead us to cracking open and discovering who the real bad guy is this season. I think you definitely find Alaric and Matt Donovan syncing up by mere virtue of the fact that they're the remaining humans in Mystic Falls. I think there's a kindred spirit that's born out of that uniqueness. So you'll see Alaric and Matt gravitate to each other and start formulating plans to help kind of take the town back and defeat this season's bad guy. Well, you know, the season opens up with Enzo and Damon in a real dark place. And the whole thrust is sort of trying to get them back out of the dark side. And will they be able to do that safely and without having to kill each other? So the relationship between Alaric and Damon right now is highly contentious and volatile and very dangerous. And so that may or may not lead to an important scene in this episode between the two characters. You know, you find Alaric just being deferential to the fact that Stefan's trying to be a good sort of stepdad role model. It's very odd. If I were a parent, I would not be cool with this on any level, but Alaric seems to be okay with his, you know, Caroline and her vampire boyfriend being surrogate parents to his twin daughters. But they seem to be doing a good job, and so I think Alaric feels safe, like relinquishing custody on the weekends. Yeah, you find him pretty much tuning out love, and there are a couple people who work at the armory, a girl in particular who sort of makes her flirtatious advances on Alaric all the time. So there's this sort of comical bit between the two of them where he's constantly turning away her flirtatious advances because I think he's pretty much closed. The shop is closed. I think the love shop is definitely closed for Alaric at this point. In my alternative universe, I would have not killed Joe on the wedding day. Maybe attempted to, maybe wounded, but I would have saved her in the long run, and I would have had them actually have the babies, and that you would see them sort of like try to get away from Mystic Falls as much as possible to save and protect their family, but for whatever reason are drawn back into the danger of Mystic Falls. And then I think you would see him as a real father with his love and the mother of his children. I think it would have an interesting dynamic that would give him a more sturdy base in terms of him jumping into the conflict and having really protecting his kids.
That scene was brutal.
I
just
know.
Like you mentioned it, and I'm like reliving it right now, and I'm gonna like.
I know,
it's brutal.
It's tough. It's tough. It was tough to shoot. It was tough to go through on behalf of that character. It was tough to watch. And I was saying in this other interview that to add insult to injury is he tries to bring her back and fails again. And that was the real dagger in the heart for Alaric, watching Joe die again in his bedroom in season 7. So it's just been no bueno for Alaric.
Poor guy. Poor guy.
No.
He and Matt Donovan.
Like,
You're the lone humans.
What are you telling me?
Yeah. So Alaric and Matt are they're the lone humans, and they're also the two who cannot find love.
I know. You're right. What does that say about humans?
Man, we suck at relationships.
Yeah. Oh man, it has been such a remarkable journey. You know, like when I first booked the show, I would have never imagined in a million years when they said, you know, hey, there's this guest arc they want to bring me on for this new show called Vampire Diaries, that it would turn into 8 seasons of just a completely life-altering experience. You know, so we've been through it all together. You know, ups and downs, extreme highs, extreme lows. You know, people getting married, getting divorced, having kids. You know, deaths in the family. Like we've just been through a lot, and we have managed to stay remarkably close through it all. You know, and so it's been a remarkable experience. And I think, you know, as we enter to the final season. I think there's a sense of excitement, that we're moving into the next phase and what that is going to bring. But there's also sort of a solemnity in recognizing that this is the final season for us, and so there's an element of us wanting to not take anything for granted, and to love each other and to have a good time and to make the most out of it. I think that there's also a sense of self-reflection where you look back and say, how could we have done things differently? How could I have been, better in this area as a person, as an actor? And I just think there's a lot of self-reflection, but all in all, it's a great group of people, and we've been blessed to kind of go through this together. And I think any show that lasts this long is part of television history on some level. So I think it's cool that we've gone as far as we have together, and have weathered a kind of like strange merging of social media and popular television all at the same time. I think we were really kind of like on the cutting edge of that in many ways. And so just from a historical perspective, it's just kind of cool to be part of this zeitgeist. 3 best moments from the show, I'd say Alaric and Damon battling it out for the first time, season 1. I would say Alaric moving into guardian protector role with the Gilbert children, and I would say the season finale of season 6.
Favorite.
Well, I do remember my first kiss with Aunt Jenna, I think at the beginning of season 2, and it was one of those things where season 1 went this direction, and season 2 kind of took Alaric. It was the beginning of Alaric's foray into broken relationships. And so I just remember that there was this kissing scene where Alaric just shows up and he walks into the kitchen, he just grabs Aunt Jenna and kisses her. And I just remember being unusually awkward and uncomfortable in that moment. I'm like, oh, this is like that. Well, I've got to go in and look like a boss and just kiss her. And it just kind of happened out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, when did Alaric fall in love with Aunt Jenna? It doesn't matter, I just gotta go in there and kiss her. But I just remember that feeling kind of awkward. I was like, hey, Aunt Jenna, come here, just give me a kiss. And it was kind of awkward and strange for some reason.